too. You guys are going to hear me do the intro. What's good, YouTube? Just getting started. As always, we got the Tiki Talk Live right here, talking about if Amazon is getting too competitive. So yeah, 2019 when I started, it was, there was just as many sellers. Like when I would go and find a potential product, there was just as many sellers selling on that product as when I go and look for potential products now. Where people get this confused is now there's a lot of, not now. It's not a now versus then. They look at certain markets and they see that they're established, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 average reviews. But there's always constantly new markets popping up, new subcategories of markets popping up. And I wouldn't say new trending because we don't look for trending products, but new trends. Like the market is always shifting. So I truly do not think that Amazon is going to become saturated to the point where people can't sell on it anymore. Even like a lot of the markets that we've fully established ourselves in, they were low-hanging fruit back then, but then those markets grew and they grew and we grew with the competition, right? We grew with the market. And now those products that were good products back then are no longer good products now. And that's the cycle. It's the cycle of business. And you have to consider like the 90% rule. There's all these sellers, like how many sellers are actually doing it right? You guys could tell me any market on Amazon and I can scroll through and find sellers who are doing a subpar job. There are a lot of sellers who are crushing it. There's a lot of sellers who are doing doing the bare minimum. Or how many people are trying to start selling on Amazon? They don't have the right strategy. They don't do the right thing. And then they just fall off. How much money do I need to get started? I would say like 3K USD. What's your craziest student success story? I have a few really cool ones. Obviously, you have the one who's making the most right now. They do like 300 to 400K. 400K was more of a seasonal thing, but like 300K a month in top line revenue. Like I was just on a call with that student a few weeks ago. They told me about how they have a $50,000 purchase order on the way right now. So they're absolutely crushing it. Cool thing about that student is what he told me, which I found out was incorrect, but I can understand why he told me a different story, was he told me that he left his corporate job. He had his dream car, which was just like a really nice BMW. I think it was still like $180,000 or $100,000 car. And he's like, yeah, man, I was tired of the corporate life. I quit my job and sold my car, and I just want to go all in on this e-commerce thing. I was like, man, you're really in it. I did not suggest that to him. What I later found out, and I understand why he told me the first story. What I later found out is that he got fired from his corporate job. So his back was really against the wall, and he went all in on Amazon because he started September of 2023, I believe. Within 2 or 3 months, he was doing 40, 50K a month on Amazon top line revenue. And then that student is now going on. He still is in e-commerce, but he's now going on to create a meal prep service, which is really cool. And then another one of I always love like the underdog stories. We have a lot of students who are crushing it, 10K, 20K, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80K a month. A few six-figure sellers. But another really cool story that I like is another one of my students who he started, and everybody from his family, his friends, like they were clowning on him, telling him you shouldn't sell on Amazon. This isn't going to work, all this stuff. And now he does like 1K plus profit a day selling on Amazon. So that's another cool story. I always love the underdog story. What do you mean established rank? Like organic rank? Yes, organic ranking. If you're not ranked organically, then, if you have a bad PPC day, then you have a bad just a bad day overall. What's the first thing you ever sold on Amazon to get you ungated? I don't do that business model, Shay. I don't need to get ungated for the products that I sell. For a majority of them, I create my own brands. I'm not selling existing brands on Amazon. I invented something and have zero data. I don't know if I should launch it as my first product. If you have no data, then you're kind of rolling the dice, pizza. How do I put a product on Amazon to sell? Where do I get it from? Once you create an Amazon seller account, there's a button that says add a product. You would just create a listing, select the category, title, bullet points, all of that. And then in terms of where do you get it, most of the products that I source are from Alibaba or from China. No, I haven't heard of that tour. Shots, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate you. How many SKUs do you have, including variations like 40, 50 plus? I have a patent pending invention. I'm getting slammed by startup business, but cost is so high. I mean, yeah, it's because you chose to go the patent route. There's nothing wrong with that. Someone was just in my live yesterday who was crushing it, and he has a patent on his product. He has like a pet hair removal product that's patented, and he's doing like $1 million. What is it? Like $1 million plus, close to $1 million plus a month, I believe. Or did I do that numbers wrong? Yeah, I think it's at $1 million plus. And so, yeah, I mean, we don't get patents for our product. A majority of the products that I launch, maybe like 90+%, I launch for less than 6K USD. Now you go and get yourself a patent, and that's going to, that itself is going to be a few K USD, potentially upwards of like 10K plus. So there's different ways of doing business. Yo, remember me? What up, Daniel? Yes, sir. I love you, bro. You helped me go from 10K a month to 500K a month. I don't know if this is a troll or not, but if it's legit, this person doesn't follow me, so it might be a troll. But if that's true, bro, God bless you. That's amazing. What's up, brother? What up, Ayon? What's the best brand products to sell on Amazon? I don't sell branded products on Amazon, Donald. I create my own brands on Amazon. I'm not an arbitrage or wholesale seller. Do you believe this business is oversaturated? I don't believe in things being oversaturated, Shay. If selling on Amazon is saturated, then the act of buying and selling products, creating a business, a consumer goods business is too saturated, right? Amazon is simply a platform where you sell your products. It would be like, and if to that point, and I know you're just asking, but to that point, nobody should apply for college because there's too many applicants. It's too saturated. Nobody should go apply for jobs because there's other people applying for the job. It's too saturated. We should teach our kids not to go play in sports because there's competition and it's too saturated. Amazon's the largest e-commerce platform in the world, and nothing comes close. It is simply a platform to sell your product. So if you launch a good product, you differentiate that product, and you're adding value to the customer, and you have a good marketing strategy, then it is possible to see success. Now, if you're going and clicking copy and paste on what everybody else is selling, well, then why would they buy from you when there's products that are priced cheaper, same quality, more reviews, and you have less reviews and a higher price? That's why differentiation and adding value into the market is so important. But do I think Amazon is saturated? No. Will I ever think that Amazon is saturated? No. You just joined the live, but earlier I was talking about how there's always new markets, new variations of markets. I mean, like half the market, not half, but a huge portion of the markets that I see that are like new upcoming markets right now, not trending products, but new upcoming markets. Those weren't around when I started selling on Amazon 6 years ago. The game is constantly evolving and changing. Where should I go for manufacturing that won't hurt my margins? China, most likely. Shannon, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate you. And everybody in the live vibing. Why did you choose private label over wholesale? It's the business model that fit what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to sell other people's brands. And I'm going to get on a rant here, so I apologize. But when I started selling on Amazon, wholesale and arbitrage were not the business models that were talked about. Like when you looked up how to sell on Amazon, it was private label. Wholesale and arbitrage, I'm not saying people didn't do them back then, but wholesale and arbitrage got popular after the pandemic when everybody was at home. And then you had a bunch of, I know that I have a mentorship, so not to be hypocritical, but you had a bunch of gurus pop up on the scene. It's easier to sell to people online. It doesn't make it the better business model. I didn't want a warehouse. I didn't want employees. I didn't want to have to be in stores scanning items. I know that's not wholesale. I know that's arbitrage, but I didn't want to do all of that. I wanted as automated of a business as I possibly can. I didn't want to create a job for myself, having to pull up to the warehouse, scan items, manage employees, do all of this stuff. No, I mean, I could be a one-man show with my Amazon business. And I make higher margins than all of these wholesale, maybe not all, but 99% of these wholesale and arbitrage guys. Go find somebody who does wholesale doing, 7 M's a year. They're going to be average 10% margins. If they're really lucky, 15, 20, but that's pushing it, to be honest. Honestly, like at scale, you're talking average 10% margins, 700K for 7 M's. Whereas private label, 30, 40% margins, which I think is much better. I also know so many people who aren't selling the business model, but I know so many people who start with wholesale or start with arbitrage, and they go and they switch to private label. Yeah, look at Salem, one of the mentorship students. You did wholesale before, didn't you, Salem? Charlie, thank you so much for the follow. By the way, this isn't me saying that wholesale doesn't work, and this isn't me saying that arbitrage doesn't work or that people don't make money on it. It's just what fit for my life. And private label, I wanted to own the business. I wanted a business that I can exit one day. That was the way to go. Okay, brand name, I've got it. No one else does yet. Should I get it trademarked so I won't be stolen? Yes, make sure you do a trademark search though. Check the USPTO. Shay, thank you so much for the follow. Sorry if you guys can't read the comments. I know that I'm wearing a white jersey. Bro, Nike was crushed. Bro was crushing Nike, got hit with Section 3 for items 7 months ago. Section 3 is not really something that I deal with. Gimme, like I said, I don't do wholesale and arbitrage. And that's also why, because you get hit with Section 3 when you don't do things that you're supposed to be doing. Amazon doesn't, the guidelines for arbitrage and wholesale is not provide a receipt. It's to provide an invoice from an official wholesaler or distributor. A retail store is not an official wholesaler or distributor. So if you're doing something like that, potentially get hit with Section 3, and then, so that's, yeah. I started wholesale, then switched to private label. Let's go, Salem. Thoughts on private label health products? As a beginner, no. How often do you pay yourself out in a business model like this? I think most of the profit is reinvested. For a while, most of it's reinvested, but I take a pretty healthy salary. pay myself every month. We're getting payouts from Amazon every 2 weeks, but I'll pay myself out every month. And it really depends. Like there's times where I want to go launch more products. I also have, a nice little safety net and a few other investments, other businesses and stuff like that. So if there's ever a time where I'm going to go launch multiple products, then obviously I'm going to distribute less to myself, or starting a new business or something like that. It'll get reinvested into there. I'm in a growth phase. Like I'm not sitting here thinking like, mama, I made it. I'm in a growth phase, and the goals that I have doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the fruits of my labor, but the goals that I have, I'm like 10% there. I'm also only 26. So God willing, I have a long time to do that. But yeah, I'm trying to build, I feel like I've built a baby empire, but I'm trying to build an empire. So but there's also people who don't aspire to do those same things, and there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you just want to live a comfortable life, and so yeah, you could potentially pay yourself out more, but you shouldn't touch any of the profits for a year. That was the advice that was given to me, and that's the advice that I give to others. When I first started selling on Amazon, it was funny, and this is also what I think is funny because, and I'm not talking about you, sea urchin. I'm speaking generally. Good to see you, by the way. But it's funny because you'll get people, because of the internet and all the content and stuff. Like I learned from like YouTube videos and stuff, but I didn't get attracted to this business model from somebody living like a flashy lifestyle online. I got attracted to this business model from my old bosses, my cousins who I worked for. They ran an Amazon business. And all I knew is I want to start. I didn't go to college. I didn't want to work. I loved them, but I didn't want to work for them for the rest of my life. They were great bosses, but still, I don't do very well with authority figures. And so I was like, okay, we're just going to go and we're going to get started. I do the whole process. I find the product. I differentiate the product. I lock in manufacturers. And like I launched. This was the first time I ever asked this question. I had already launched. Think about how many people come into this live and they ask this before they even have taken a step, even decided in their mind that they're going to do it. I asked my cousin, I was like, so when do you think that because I started crushing it right off the bat. And I asked my cousin, I'm like, so when do you think that I can go get my own apartment? This is like a month into the business. And I had some really good momentum. She's like, your own apartment? You're not going to touch this. You're not going to touch any of that profit for at least a year. You have to reinvest it all back into your business. This was literally my word for word, my reaction. A year. And she's like, yeah. And she explained it to me. Like I said, I didn't know business. I wasn't an entrepreneur. I had, them as entrepreneurs, but like my parents didn't really, my mom didn't really come from an entrepreneurial background. And so, yeah, it wasn't about putting a condition on my success. Like I have to make this much or this or that. I just knew that I wanted to be successful. So I did it. How much would you advise a beginner to start with minimum? Like 3K USD, Charlie? The average is like 3 to 6K, but most of the time, unless you're launching like a higher ticket product, you probably won't even get close to 6K. Like I think the last 5 to 10 products that I've launched have all been under 5K for everything. What up, Shazad? In the YT chat. Wait, is this the person who, I'm sorry if I'm mistaken, but is this the person who I put on timeout before? I don't remember. There was somebody in the YT chat he says, bro, I'm here. It's all right. I mean, I didn't block you, bro, but I muted you for 24 hours for those comments. So, or was that not you, Shazad? I'm very sorry if that was you. It was a blue profile picture. That's the only reason I say. Oh no, it was you. I don't ask. Wait, or it was. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Regardless, as long as you don't do it again, we're good. But yeah, that was funny. Let's go. Make sure y'all drop your questions down below. And if you guys are getting value from this live, what are we doing? Tap that screen. You don't actually have to send it to anyone, but it counts as a share to the algorithm. I've been doing these lives for free, y'all. So support your boy. Brother, you know about Shopify drop shipping? I know about it, but I don't do it. We sell on Shopify, but I don't do drop shipping. No, this is a YT comment for those of you who are wondering where I'm getting these comments from. Yeah, but drop shipping is not for me. Doesn't mean that it's not a good business model. I know people who crush it, but I've never really been drawn to drop shipping, to be honest with you. But yeah, it does work for some people. With drop shipping, a majority of your sales are coming from ads. Nah, it's an awful model, to be honest. What up, Jack? I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. Like I know people who crush it with drop shipping, but Order Legends Orders Boot app is working, giving money. I don't know what that is, Shazad. I'm not one who thinks that any business model doesn't work. I think every business model has its potential. I think some business models work better for some people than others. And you know, like if I went and did drop shipping, I maybe wouldn't be as good at drop shipping as I am Amazon. Everyone I've talked to is insane gross and then takes home like 8K. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just who you talk to in that scenario. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not a drop shipping guy, Jack. You know that, but I just don't like to put like blanket answers or blanket statements on business models, except for arbitrage and wholesale. I don't like those ones. But like I said, just because like there are dudes out there who are absolutely crushing it on drop shipping. There are people who are crushing it with Amazon arbitrage, Amazon wholesale, Amazon private label. It's really just about finding the business that works best for you. That's also why I don't believe that anybody should take wholesale. Not bad. You do wholesale, right, Jack? I'm not a fan. But again, it works for some people. Some people have that dialed in. Like some people who do wholesale would never be able to do private label and vice versa. So yeah, I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it. Not private label for me. All right, for sure. Good to see you, by the way. Also, make sure y'all are showing some love to the videos that I posted. How many businesses did you try until you landed on FBA? One. It was Amazon FBA. It was the only business that I've ever had, like only official real business that I've ever had. I sold products on eBay, but that wasn't even like a side hustle. Like I was just given a bunch of products and then went with my cousins to the auction house, bought a few products, and then just sold them on eBay. But it's not like I was like actively trying to be an eBay seller. And it was 100% margins because, well, 99% margins because 99% of the products that I sold on eBay were just given to me. So yeah, I just made a cool little, I don't know, what was it, like 3-4K, and I was not financially responsible, so I blew through that money like there was no tomorrow. Didn't spend it on anything productive, but I was also like I don't know, like I empathize and understand certain aspects when I see people talk about it. Like I was not necessarily confident in my own skin back then, and I felt like I had to show up and show out for everybody. So when I had a little bit of money, I was flexing like I was Jeff Bezos out here. It's funny, when I had the least amount of money, I flexed the most. And now that I have the most amount of money in terms of what I've been able to earn, I flex the least. Shazad says, bro, how old are you? Shazad, guess how old I am, bro. And then I'll tell you. I look like an old man. Are you selling your Amazon products on TikTok now? Yes. We've been doing TikTok shop since like early 2024. One of my students, he's usually in the live, but he was the one who actually put me onto TikTok shop. Shazad, I'm saying guess my age and then I'll tell you. I want to see. I always like to, every time somebody asks me how old I am, I never just give them a direct answer. I say guess. 32. Yeah, like I said, I look a lot older than I am. No. Any other guesses? Need to get more of my TikTok products on Amazon. I think. Oh, Shazad said 32 as well. Thanks, Jack. Hey, Charlie on the money. I'm 26 years old. Started selling on Amazon when I was 19, but I started January 1st, 2019. My birthday is April, so 4 months later, I turned 20. I've been selling on Amazon a little over 6 years now. Thanks, Jack and Charlie, for not making me feel older than I am. I also think it's like the beard. If I shaved my beard, I would look like I had a baby face. But I've had a beard since I was 16 years old, so 10 years now. Have never shaved it. But my beard actually, not that any of you care, but a funny story. I used to do the chin strap. So all of this wasn't here, and it was literally like, and I shaved that on purpose. I thought it was a good look. It was not. How much would it take for you to shave it? I mean, I don't desire money in that regard anymore. So honestly, there's not an amount that would make me shave it. My guess was 25. Nice. Thanks, AV. Nah, chin strap, not the move. Nah, dude, chin strap was not the move. And it's funny because like my best friend, he's still my best friend today. The one who I go and visit in Tennessee, he would always tell me like, bro, grow your beard out. Don't do the chin strap. I'm like, nah, what are you talking about? It looks fire. It did not indeed look fire. Anyways, we're not here to talk about my hairstyles and beard styles. Y'all keep dropping your Amazon questions down below. I also like talking about stuff like that sometimes. So let's you guys get to know me a little bit. Not just some business dude. I'm a human being too, huh? Anyways, I posted some great videos today. If you guys haven't watched them, I would go check them out. One of them, just a little silly video, but the second to last video that I posted was about a conversation that I had with my my best friend's dad. Much more successful than I am, much wiser than I am as well. And I think that video is very insightful because I'll tell you guys the gist of it, but I would still go watch it. And feel free to drop your questions because I'm going to keep answering them. Besides US, what other markets do you sell in? Canada, Mexico. We played around with UK before. Maybe we'll go back to the UK, but no. I've thought about Germany, very keen on starting with Germany, but Germany's kind of a little bit like Japan in my example. Like the products that I sell on Amazon US would not perform well on Amazon Japan because Japan has different market trends, different product trends. They don't value the same thing that we in the US value in terms of products. I feel like Germany is a little bit similar, but Germany's also took the spot for the number 2 Amazon market. Obviously, US is number 1. How Mexico? There's something called, I'm completely blanking on the name, but we use our US inventory, AB, and people in Mexico are able to buy it. So we're not necessarily sending products to Mexico fulfillment centers, but they're able to buy through the US. Any freight forwarder options, resources to find reliable ones? To be honest, man, I haven't looked for a freight forwarder in a couple years now because I created my own. That's the EMZ Masterclass freight forwarder, but that's only available to my students. I used to use Forwarder One, but like it's actually kind of, they're the ones that I know, but it's hard to almost recommend them because I think Forwarder One charges like $2 a kilogram. My freight forwarder charges like 50 cents to 90 cents a kilogram. So it's like a huge difference. There's Freightos, there's Parcel Monkey, but these are like large companies who are trying to make money on shipping. I don't make money on shipping for my students and obviously for myself. So we just try to get the best possible rates. Whereas like when you're reaching out, it still may be cheaper than a manufacturer. So give it a try. But yeah, like obviously a shipping company has to make money. They have their employees, they have all these things. Oh, nice. Well, if you're getting like 1.1 per kilogram, that's solid. 90 cents, that's solid. How much did you make your first year? 6 figures plus. The one thing that I wish is I wish I took more screenshots in my early years of like my Amazon sales. Just because like I know the big markers. Like I know month 1 I did 10K. I know month 2 I did between like probably like 15 to 18K. And then I know like month 6 I was doing 10K in profit a month. But I don't remember every single month, which I wish. I guess I could go. Oh, no, just kidding. I was going to say, I guess I could go back, but I don't own that brand anymore. So, no, I can't go back and look at my sales. I guess I could look at my tax returns. So, your shipping is only for your students? Yes, sir. Yeah. Do you use Global Logistics Shipping Service, China to the US? No. What's up, bro? What up, Ken? I'm on year 2. Is launching 4 products for Q4 a risk, or would it be best to do the top 2 best options? It depends. Have you had success in the last 2 years of you selling? If you have, then as long as you found success and you know what you're doing, I don't think it really matters how many products that you launch. Now, if you were thinking more of like a cash flow scenario, and you didn't have the cash flow to sustain 4 products right now, then maybe go with your top 2. But I think it would be really circumstantial. So I wouldn't necessarily disagree with launching 4, assuming that you've had successful product launches already. I'm waiting for my samples now, then place my order. Nice. Let's go. I was doing 2 sales average a day. Now I'm getting 0. What do I do? You gotta optimize. You guys gotta optimize your organic rank. Organic rank is the game. You can use tools like Helium 10 to see this, or you can just do it old school. Manually type in your keywords. See what page and where on the page does your product appear. If you're not on page 1, don't expect to get consistent sales. Also, maybe you were at page 1 before and you're not on page 1 now. That's going to lead to a decrease. If you guys don't get that early, not even just early momentum, if you guys don't get that momentum on your product, you're not entitled. And I'm not saying you're saying this, Ken, but you're not entitled to being on page 1. So somebody can be on page 1, but then you stop making optimizations, you stop, trying to keep that momentum, and then you go back to page 2. Just because you reach page 1 doesn't mean Amazon's going to keep you there forever. unless you're constantly pushing. Mama, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate you. So we can list our U.S. product on Mexico, Amazon, but do Amazon.com fulfilled order to Mexico? Yes. I'm blanking on the name right now, but yeah, you can turn on Canada and Mexico. For Canada, we actually ship products to Canada. Do you run ads on Amazon? Yes, sir, Charlie. Amazon PPC ads. If you guys are ever shopping on Amazon, Amazon does a really good job at this. I almost wonder if they would have, I'm sure that they've tested it looking different, even though it's always been the same since I started, but maybe before I started. Amazon does a great job, such a great job of making ads not look like ads. They follow, I think it's FTC guidelines where you obviously can't say something is not an ad that is an ad, but they do such a great job at it. Like when you guys are on like a product detail page, for example, and you see like recommended from Amazon, you think, oh man, Amazon's recommending me these products. Nope, those are sponsored ads. It says sponsored. Or, they don't make ads look different. They just have a really tiny writing that says sponsored on it. So those are people advertising their product on Amazon. Thanks, Brody. Of course, I got you, bro. I got you. Now we wait for more questions, and I'll just keep interrupting the story as we get more questions, so don't worry. But the second to last video that I posted, conversation that I had with my best friend's dad. A lot of you who have been in the lives very often will see people say, I'm scared to sell on Amazon. What if it doesn't work? This or that, million different excuses. And him and I were talking. He does like 10 M's more than I do every single year. And I had asked him a question. I was like, hey, do you ever like fear going broke? This was after a conversation that we had where he was telling me about how his business, there was like 2 years where his kids didn't even see him because he was just hustling. And I'm not going to share his numbers or anything like that, but he told me how much he had left in his bank account. His back was against the wall. So I asked him, I was like, do you ever fear going broke? He's like, why do you ask? I was like, well, because it's kind of something that's always in the back of my mind. And then he was telling me, he's like, I think that it would be normal for you not to think that, right? For me not to be fearful of going broke again. And it's not because I don't think that I could start again and do it again. It's more so just I don't want to move backwards. I always want to move forward in one way or another in life, financially, spiritually, mentally. And it kind of like sparked something, like it sparked a thought in my head. I've always thought this, but it just sparked that same thought that I get. And so many people fear losing and fear failing that they won't go start a business. But what they don't realize is that the people who start a business also have that same fear, even if they want to act tough guy, blah, 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 blah. We're all human, right? The fear of failure, it's in our genes, our DNA, to not want to go towards something that's risky. We want to be in our comfort zone, our safety. And I just think it's funny how like people who haven't started a business won't go start because of that fear. But then the people who do, they use that as a driver. They use that as motivation. It's the reason why somebody like him works so hard. Like some of y'all saw the videos that I was sitting up on a lake and chilling. We were at his lake house. I was working while we were out there. I didn't have great service, so I couldn't do like lives and stuff like that. Responding to people was a little hard, but I was able to get work done. And then this dude, his whole family is enjoying the lake house. And it's like, oh, I'm not going to say his name, but we'll call him Bob. It's not his name, but I was like, where's Bob? Oh, he's upstairs working. It's like, man, all these people want the toys. All these people want the nice house and the boat and the car and this or that. But who's going to actually put in that work? That's some food for thought for everybody. Okay, what about for Shopify though? My ROAS went down 5.82 to 2.78. You probably got to switch up the creatives if you're running like meta ads. If you sell in all three markets, does it affect PPC cost? No, it's going to be different. Or no, it's not. Entertaining, thank you so much for the follow. What were your first Amazon product margins? Did margins start small because you were learning? I almost wish that I had a tougher story for my first product, but I crushed it right off the bat. I'm not one of the people who had multiple failed products. I was a madman when I started my first Amazon business. I mean, I still think that I am, but like there is nothing that replicates that. I was driving external traffic. I was doing influencer. It wasn't even influencer marketing. Just every. I don't want to sound misogynistic saying this, but like I remember this is when Dan Bilzerian's brand Ignite was like really on the scene, and I was like, oh, that's what sells. I don't know if anyone has seen or saw that brand. I think they went bankrupt, but I don't know if anybody saw that brand, but their marketing tactics. So I would hit up every single female that I knew, and I'd be like, yo, let's do a photo shoot. Let's get you one of these products. Let's just create. I was pumping out content like a madman. I didn't need to. I was doing fine on Amazon, but I drove so much external traffic that like I was successful before, not successful, but I found some success in that product before I even turned on PPC ads. I didn't even know you had to run ads until a week or so into my business, and I was getting sales. My cousin's like, oh man, you're doing really great. How are your ads doing? I'm like, what do you mean ads? So yeah, I mean, I had pretty solid margins. Luke, so there is no need to send inventory to Mexico and Canada. I mean, technically, no. You're not going to sell at scale in those markets without being in those fulfillment centers, though, because like if you're selling in Mexico, they're going to have to pay extra to get it shipped from the U.S. So it's not quite the same, Jay. It's not like when somebody looks something up on Amazon.com. It's just available for people to buy, but it's not necessarily on their market, if that makes sense. But even MCF doesn't fulfill orders outside from US, I'm not talking about MCF. I'm blanking on what it's called, but yeah, I'm not talking MCF. It's a setting that you can turn on the listing. Let's get it. Y'all make sure you drop your questions down below while we're still here. I'm actually live a little longer than I was planning on today. What was your first product? It was a gummy supplement. No, I do not recommend any of you launching a gummy supplement. It was a different era of Amazon. I would not launch any of the early products that I launched today. So it's one thing if you guys are just curious, hey, what did you sell? But like, don't think like, oh, he had that success, so now I'm going to duplicate it and go launch those same type of products. Y'all, we've been given nearly an hour of straight value, so you already know what time it is. First off, lots of free videos on how to start selling on Amazon. But for those who wanted a more in-depth guide and to have me as a mentor, TikTok bio, AMZ Masterclass mentorship, you guys can see all of the things that are included in this full ecosystem that I've built. I need to stop calling it that. Amazon, but I feel like Amazon ecosystem doesn't make sense. But anyways, you'd click yes, I want to apply. Go through this very quick questionnaire. Takes less than 2 minutes. Actually, fill it out proper. Don't do what I just did. I'm going to hide this next part so I can't see my phone number and email. And then if y'all qualify for the mentorship, you will be prompted to this page right here. where you're going to be able to select a date and time to hop on a call with my onboarding coach, Adam. Not a coaching call. It is an onboarding coach, no fluff call. See if this business model is right for you. See if the program is for you. We only accept we only accept an X amount of students every single month. So make sure you go check that out. That is for anyone who wanted a more in-depth guide. But remember, I also have a lot of free resources. So that's really for people who want all of the services that I've built, all of the curriculum A to Z in one place, and also want direct access to me. No, I wouldn't sell jewelry on Amazon. But on that note, y'all have a blessed night, a blessed rest of your weekend. I will not be going live tomorrow, but I will be still posting videos. So I'll see y'all, God willing, Monday.